Quentin Tarantino's style of making movies is some of the best kind of filmmaking in the modern era. The music he brings into many of his movies just breathes so much life. My one favorite specific thing he does well is, of course, the way he writes great dialogue, but also the way he writes his characters. Many memorable characters Tarantino has created are the likes of Uma Thurman's The Bride, Hans Landa, played by Christoph Waltz, Jamie Foxx's Django, and, we'll just skip that part. What I'm trying to say is that Quentin Tarantino is really good at creating interesting, likable characters, which leads me to my favorite character that Quentin Tarantino has ever created, Cliff Booth. Played by Brad Pitt, first appearing in Tarantino's 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Cliff Booth easily wins the award for my favorite character in the Tarantino-verse. Cliff Booth is written so well and he's so complex that you could even label him as kind of creepy and a bit of a horrible person. But it's all okay because it's Brad Pitt. If you have read the novel, you know that Cliff Booth is also kind of evil. Tarantino knows this, and he's banking you on liking him because he's played by Brad Pitt. On the surface, Cliff Booth is a World War II hero that killed 16 Japanese soldiers. Deep down, Cliff is the guy who murdered his wife in cold blood and got away with it. And that's not even the first time either. But if we ignore some of the shady things Cliff has done and look at him in a different perspective, we see that Cliff Booth is actually a badass. So here are 5 reasons why Cliff Booth is such an amazing character. Reason number 1. He's played by Brad Pitt. Now, I love Brad Pitt, and if you've watched my review on the movie Troy, you know that I love Brad Pitt. He's my favorite actor of all time. But how is his acting? Has it gotten better or worse since Troy? Quite the opposite. Like fine wine, his acting has only gotten better as time goes on. If you look at Fight Club and then back at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the acting level is supreme. Some of my favorite movies include Brad Pitt. A wise man once said that an actor is great when they don't even feel like they're acting. And that's the secret to why Cliff Booth is so badass. And it's because Brad Pitt is badass. Could you imagine if Tarantino casted The Rock or John Cena as Cliff Booth? Yeah, me neither. Reason number 2. Cliff Booth is a real-life superhero. I use real-life figuratively and not literally. Cliff Booth is not a real person in real life, but he is in the way that most men, including myself, wish to be. I actually just got done with coming to terms with who I am as a person before I ever saw this movie. I took the healthy steps to accept myself as a human being until I saw this movie a week later and all that shit went out the window. There wasn't anyone I wanted to be more than Cliff Booth, and I used to watch wrestling as a kid. You know the old adage, women want him, men want to be him. Well, that's Cliff Booth. Reason number 3. He was able to defend himself, Leonardo DiCaprio, and DiCaprio's wife from 3 murderous hippies, all while tripping on acid. Who wouldn't love someone who defended one of the best actors of our generation and his wife? Need I say more? Reason number 4. He's complex. Cliff Booth is not a black and white character. In fact, he is quite the opposite. And a lot of that is due to Quentin Tarantino's genius in creating polarizing characters. There are just as many reasons to love Cliff Booth as there are to hate him. I mean, he got away with murder 3 times. He is my favorite film character of all of Tarantino's movies, but even I can recognize that he isn't perfect. Reason number 5. He tries to be a good friend. And here is a number 1 reason as to why Cliff Booth is such a great character. As someone who was never a good friend to a lot of good friends, I have tons of regrets. So when I see someone like Cliff Booth be a badass cowboy hero and be a great friend to Rick Dalton, after Rick tells Cliff that he is a good friend, Cliff just looks at Rick and says,
"I tried."
Even in the book, there are tons of examples of him just being there for Rick. Truly, a great friend. Whether it's Lieutenant Aldo Raine or Cliff Booth, Brad Pitt is able to deliver amazing performances. Cliff Booth is a great character, and in my eyes, Tarantino's best. He tries to be a good friend, he's a real-life superhero, and not only that, he is complex. There are just as many reasons to love him as there are to hate him. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is easily in my top 10 movies of all time, and will hold to be one of Tarantino's greatest.